afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gina Duvernay, the Adult Services Manager for Gwinnett County Public Library. Look around the room. Look at all you folks that came out of the rain. Give yourself a round of applause for coming out. We really appreciate it because we can only keep doing this if you come out, right? Well, so thank you so much. So I'm just going to introduce our guests, and we're going to get started because I know they're here. You are here to see them. And if you need more room, make more room, okay? Okay, but if you want to sit on top of each other, that's good too. Okay. Vanessa Riley, let's give her a round of applause. She is an award-winning author of such books as Island Queen and Queen of Exiles, which you can find in the back. Johns Creek Books is here all the way. They came out from Johns Creek to sell the books here, and there'll be a signing after. We want to thank them for coming out. They're such a great partner. So please visit the table if you have not already. Riley's historical novels showcase the hidden histories of Black women and women of color, emphasizing strong sisterhoods and dazzling multicultural communities. Her work encompasses historical fiction, historical romance, and historical mystery, and have been reviewed by the Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, NPR, Publisher Weekly, and the New York Times. Riley was named the 2023 Georgia Author of the Year Awards Literary Fiction winner for Sister, Mother, Warrior. Let's give her another round of applause. And moderating the talk today is none other than Jasmine Sinkfield. Yes, and she is a book influencer who has spent the past 4 years building community across Bookstagram and Book Talk as Booked and Frenzy. Known for championing authors and supporting local bookstores and literary events, such as this one, she's dedicated to fostering welcoming spaces where readers feel supported, seen, and excited about the joy of reading. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Hey. Good afternoon. I'm a little nervous, but
Don't be nervous.
I'm super excited.
We threw axes together.
Yes.
So you know, it's a bonding experience when you
really
can throw an
is.
axe and you feel safe.
You do, which is weird, but it's true.
You know?
It's so crazy. I was telling people that this is such a full circle moment for me because when I first entered the bookish space, one of the first author talks I attended was Vanessa Riley in conversation with Kennedy Ryan. And I was so inspired. And I told people, and the people who were here who witnessed it back in May, I said that if I ever did an author talk, I wanted it to be Vanessa Riley for my first time. And so I feel like I manifested this experience.
Yes,
and I was like, this is crazy.
I love it.
But yes, I'm super excited. So I wanted to start off actually by thanking you because when I read this book, it made me think of a quote I heard from Victoria Christopher Murray when she was on tour for Harlem Rhapsody. She said that when they tried to bury us, my job is to excavate us.
Yes,
And it made me think of you and all your work. So I want to publicly thank you and then just jump right into it and say, can you tell us, for those who don't know, what is Fire, Sword, and Sea about?
Okay. So I would say about 3 years ago, I was in Jamaica, writing. Yeah. And whenever you go anywhere, especially in the diaspora, I go and I want to see the history. So I went to Port Royal, and I went to the fort there, Fort Charles, and I'm walking around, and they took me into the prison cell. Well, not in the prison cell, because I don't do that. I look at the prison cell. Well, but they were saying Mary Read and this another female pirate was there, and I was like, wow, that's so interesting that they were actually locked up in the cell. Now, the next question was, well, are there any Black pirates? And they were stumped. But then the name Jacquotte Delehaye came up, and I was like, I gotta know who this person is. And I start doing this research, and I find out that not only is she a woman, not only is she Black, but she became a pirate captain. A captain over an integrated ship of men and women following behind her. I was like, oh yes, Bet, we gotta write this story. So I was very excited. I'm in a unique position being able to talk with my publishers and get them excited about this book, and to get this story. And whenever you dive into one of my stories, I want you to feel like you're actually there. Yeah. It's safe though. You're safe though. I got you. Nothing gonna happen to you. But I make sure you're safe, and I show you the stories of the people who not only just survived, but thrived in some sort of aspect. They broke rules. They did what they needed to do. And to me, these are the stories that are really buried. You will find maybe some wife ofs, books, and things like that, and you'll find this supportive role, but they're not necessarily the star of the history. I want to bring you the stars, the people that maybe people are even afraid to talk about, and let you see that, because no matter how crazy our world may be, people have survived worse, they've done more with less, and they have thrived. And so that, in a nutshell, is Fire, Sword, and Sea.
I love that. I love that. And speaking of the history, in my research, there are some conflicting accounts of her life. So can you tell me where your stance is? Do you believe she was a real person and lived and breathed? And how did you come about that?
Kind of yes and yes.
Okay.
One thing that you find when you, why don't, the fact that we have Anne Frank's diary is a miracle, because it's very rare to find women first-hand accounts anywhere. We're usually too busy to sit down and write our stories out. So once again, I encourage everyone to journal. Make the jobs of those who come behind me a lot easier. Make that stuff readily available so we can just know what's going on and not have to guess. But Jacquotte, you find snippets of her in much more well-documented people, like Michel Le Basque, a male pirate. You find her references there. Anne de la Verte, a female Parisian pirate. You find her references there. So you have to do all this like three-angled chess and math to get these stories. And then you find snippets of her fighting with the resistance in Tortuga. So you get all these various accounts, but it's still not enough. So then you start looking, okay, what other pirates or pirate adventures have happened? So the Mughal escapades, and actually let me back up. So in 1600s, the world is very different. There are two world powers. That's Spain, so you probably know about the Spanish Armada and the gold that they stole, and they were bringing it back to Spain, because yeah, they stole it from the indigenous. That's a whole nother somebody else's book, but, but they're taking it. And then you have the Muslim empire called the Mughals. Piracy is legal in the 1600s because Britain and France and Portugal and the Dutch are all trying to hit the Spanish or the Muslims because they want their gold. And they've got a sweet arrangement. We're going to give a little piece to our king and we get to keep the rest. So that's the world that we're living in. So you get this, the importance of women. We only have two roles in this world, or we're told in this world, 1600s, which might not be that far off from today. You either have to be a wife or a wench, or as my friend said, a hoe or a housewife. I was like, okay, I like that. Okay. But literally, that's your expectation. You're growing up, your father is going to try and marry you off to somebody with some money or some power, so that protects the next generation. And Jacquotte is in this world. And so part of her story are the stories, the amalgamation of other pieces and things. And the rest of it is because you have to do this triangulation. If she is best friends with Anne, and Anne lived here and Anne was there, well, then Jacquotte was there. If she was fooling around with Michel, then Jacquotte was there. If we know that she escaped to go to Petit Goave to work and become a pirate, we got to get her there. So it's like, these pieces, but as a fiction writer, I'm going to fill in the blanks for you in something that is plausible. Whenever you do research, you become that person. So you forget your identity, you forget your belief system, you forget all of that, because I have to show you the logic of this person. I have to otherwise I'm not doing them any honor. If I change stuff and hide stuff, because I remember with Island Queen, had some friends going, why you gotta put all them kids in that book? I was like, okay, which one you gonna get rid of? That's part of her story. And you cannot erase those bits of the story. So part of Jacquotte is from the facts I was able to ascertain. The other part is to be this person, to go from being a tavern owner's daughter making soup for pirates that come, to being a ship's captain. You got to have certain experiences in your life. Things have to shape you, and you have to have a world belief that I can be more than a housewife or a hoe. And so that's how you get this story.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about your research process? Because some of the imagery in the book is super vivid. And I think I read somewhere that you visited some places and you had extensive research. And so I think I saw 2 years or something like that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
So I told you about being in the fort. And the fort actually plays a pivotal part in the story. But going behind the scenes, looking at where people bunked. Typically my stories were from 1750s to 1830s. I know that world like the back of my hand. 1600s, chaotic. I told you about the political structure, totally different. Sugarcane is not known to be the cash crop yet. They're trying to make tobacco work, and tobacco don't work in the Caribbean. All right? At the end of the 1600s, moving to the 1700s, that's when they know it's sugarcane, and that's when the mass transport is starting to happen. But this period before, this 50 years before, they're clueless. They're just, it's all about the land. I want the land. I want the land. So I'm looking at pirates. Pirates having a chance to write a letter. That's fascinating because it's sometimes they're in French, sometimes they're in English. The language of the 1600s is completely non-standard. Shakespeare, somewhere around 1615, has started to normalize the language, but it hasn't spread to the Caribbean. So I make an intentional choice to use the language I'm comfortable with, which is 1800s. To me, that was close enough because there's an accessibility. If I make it too pure, y'all gonna pick up this book and be like, that was nice. She did something there. Mm-hmm. No, I want y'all to read it because I think these women, and it's a crew of women, I want y'all to identify, I want y'all to find these women, and I want them to find you. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is if the language is accessible. But yeah, it's a lot of research. I'm looking at the documents, warrants that are written by these kings allowing these pirates to be basically, you can loot and take anything you want, just give me a cut. I'm looking at warrant, the actual notices, like, looking for people to kill or for information and things like that because they've stolen. I am, the letters, there's a famous pirate that hit the Mughals, Avery. He has totally disappeared. There's so many different stories, but I followed his life and some of the pirate adventures. So some of the battles, I'm recreating some of the battles and how they were fought based on these actual narratives. So it's a lot of pieces that you put together and pieces that you sit with. How would this work in this world? How would she do it? And you get comfortable. And like in 2 years, I don't spend that much time on a book. I'm gonna tell you, I'm just really I like to hit it and quit it. This one sat with me for a while because you want to get the story right.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the crew and the cast, because the cast of characters is super vast. There's a lot of people from very diverse backgrounds. Yes. You have, people who were enslaved. You have different gender fluidity. There's a lot to touch base on there. So can we talk about a little bit there? Yes.
Yeah, so in
very needed.
Y'all have taught me. Okay, this is book number 29, but y'all have taught me. Vanessa, if you're gonna do this, give me a character list at the beginning.
Yes.
I got you handled. Yes. Because I learned from y'all. That's why I don't really read reviews, but I sort of read reviews, right? Mm-hmm. Or actually, I'm more so, I listen to you guys when y'all come, and y'all say, Vanessa, if y'all could put, I got you. But there are a lot of people because that's the way this life was. Mm-hmm. You weren't guaranteed to see the same person the next day. Mm. And we have these labels, like biracial is not a word in the 1600s, okay? She black. If you can't pass, you black. Mm-hmm. Her brother can pass. That might be important in different pieces of the story, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm trying not to give y'all spoilers,
yeah,
but give y'all enough of the context. Then you have her father. He's Parisian. He's from France. He owns a tavern. He's well-to-do. He wants to be even better, and so he's always trying to fix her up with one of the politicians and the political forces Tortuga is split between, Spanish and French. At the moment of time of the book, the French have control. Control switches all the time in the Caribbean. You have the most successful pirate, Lawrence de Graff. He was black. His mother was Haitian. Well, actually, from Santo Domingue / Guinea, Africa, because Haiti doesn't exist yet, but that's the part of the world that he's from. And I'll give you this little tidbit. He may have started some banking systems. Okay? I'm just, it's like, I want to tell y'all so bad.
You just have to wait to read it. You have to read it.
Michel Le Basque, he is French, but he is very active in piracy, has lots of adventures, but he fell in love with Jacquotte, and that's all I put. Okay? You have Olgine. Olgine is in my imagination because you have to have somebody, a guide, a spiritual guide, a physical guide, especially when she's young. Her mother is deceased. You've got to have a guide, somebody that can connect you and help shape you. So in my imagination, that was Olgine. Olgine is a fisherman, and he teaches her how to sail. Because once again, how do you get from being a chef, basically, to a pirate captain? We've got to have a path. Let me think. Anne de Vere is a real person. She snuck away or got captured by the French authorities for stealing in the streets of Paris. She was captured, put in a boat with chains. Sound familiar? Brought to Tortuga to be sold as a wife to one of the planters. This is a white woman. The thing that you guys are going to see in this book is anybody can be enslaved at any moment in time until the cash crop is discovered. And so that is Anne. Anne becomes lifelong friends with Jacquotte. Their lives intertwine, and Anne is all heart. In my imagination, based on the things she's done, she may not be the most thoughtful person. She just leads with that heart and keeps going. But that is Anne. You need somebody on your crew who has that kind of heart and passion. The most controversial person will be Lasalle. Lasalle was a spy. Lasalle was in the sex trades. Lasalle, we have words for Lasalle in our world. They called Lasalle in that world. Everybody had a place on these pirate ships. You would have a completely integrated top of the boat because they weren't saying black, white. They said, can you do the job? Can you do the rigging? Can you man the boat? Can you sail? Can you shoot a cannon? That was the criteria. And if we go to battle, because many of the pirates would go to colonies around, get off the boat and attack the colonies for the gold and the silver, and then get back on the boat. They want to know if you're behind me and you got a sword, are you aiming it to them or me? That was the criteria. But on top of all of that, in the bottom of your boat might be chattel slavery. So once again, mixed crew, blacks, whites, all up here on the top of the boat, chattel slavery. Because, has anybody seen that meme where the young man, they're like, what's the most traded or most sold thing in the 1800s? And the young man raises his hand and he goes, correct. They are correct. One of the most heartbreaking parts of the research was when I started seeing captainship logs where they would say 17 Africans equaled 17 guineas equaled a pewter vase. Now, my mind initially thought these records were talking about guinea as in the gold coin, because the myth that we're told is, well, that's from the gold from the country of Guinea. That is a myth. Everyone from Africa in the 1600s is called Guinea. So those 17 people are equal a pewter vase. Not a silver one, not a gold, pewter vase. We are the universal currency, enslaved people, universal currency during this time frame. And so when these pirates would hit the Spanish ships or hit the Muslim ships, they knew if they got caught with the goods, they are going to be killed. So they would, as soon as they could get to a port, they would go to a warehouse and they would trade the goods for slaves. One of the parts of my research was I went on a frigate, and it was an 1800s frigate. It could have sailed during this time frame because ship design hadn't changed that much. And I go to where the crew quarters are because I want to hear, can you hear the waves? Can you hear? You can hear everything. So that means you're sleeping on top of the hull and you can hear the slaves in the bottom of your boat. So for your survival, you're part of this crew up here, this mixed identity crew of different people, but you had to vote as a team, as a crew, to do to transport slaves. And some pirate ships did that. Others did not. So it's this complex, crazy world that I'm telling you this story of this one woman who wants to be a pirate because she knows this is economic freedom. If I can master this, I'm going to be able to have my dreams. But the dreams are always built on compromises and turning against your own beliefs or just suffering through, hoping to make a change. And that is Jacquotte's dichotomy.
Mm-hmm. You did a really great job of exploring the motivations of the different pirates because some people, were doing it for their family. They had people they wanted to save. Some people were after treasure. They wanted fame and glory. Can you talk a little bit about how you distinguished and how you decided, what characters would be motivated by greed and what would be motivated by love?
Okay. So some characters like Bahati, who's one of my favorites. Bahati is just chill. Bahati's like, don't worry about this. Bahati's an old salt. She knows she's been a pirate for a number of years. She comes back to port because she has nieces, and the money that she makes sure they'll never get enslaved. So that is her whole world. She's supporting her family. And she becomes Jacquotte's really good ally in the boat because Jacquotte has sailed little ships. She ain't ever sailed nothing like this. She knows the star maps, but she doesn't quite know how to get from point A to point B, but now you're responsible for getting to point A because you're the navigator, because you might kill the real navigator. That's a whole nother story. So you're in this world. So Bahati, very clear motivations, but Bahati's also very spiritual because that faith that you're going to live for the next day. I need somebody on there to do that. Bahati is also Guinea, or African. She brings in some of the ancestral meditations that become central of how do you find peace in the middle of the storm. So that is Bahati. There's Cecilia, and Cecilia's a hothead. She not as bad as Anne, just don't think. No, she think about it sometimes, but she still chooses wrong. But she is all heart, and she wants the adventure. She wants to go and do the swashbuckling, and she may even be at the time not even discounting Jacquotte because Jacquotte's smaller individual. So, yeah, you're gonna get killed first. I don't know, and then that transformation of seeing that the person you discounted is actually the person who's going to save your life. So it's like there are many lessons and stories that I try and model, and I try and make the people map to those different things.
I love that. I love that. Okay, I do want to talk about the relationships more, but without spoilers,
Okay.
because there are some twists and turns there. But we follow her from a very young age as a tavern owner's daughter all the way to a captain. And so she has a lot of relationships, platonic and romantic. And so can you just talk a little bit more about some of those and how they came to play and how they came to be important?
Once again, how do you go from point A to point B? So Sarah Sayon is a very important person. Sarah is one of these women that came from France that was enslaved, that got sold off to an abusive man. Now, we just among friends, right? Sarah might have got rid of that abusive problem. And for Jacquotte, that shows her that women do have power even in impossible circumstances. And that's something that she needs to take away in her journey. Okay? Her relationship with her father is incredibly complex. She loves this man, but because he was banished because he was in love with Jacquotte's mother, who was enslaved, he was banished. And he's trying to get money and together to save the family. And mama gets tired and just takes the child and leaves, right? She escapes and they end up getting back together. And so in her mind, this passive way of trying to follow a system, that was very important to me to model, because she's got to be one who wants to break the systems. This is the way we're supposed to do it, and I'm going to save the money and and all this sort of stuff. And his father was like still ticked off with this. He was like, no. So even when he raised the money, he never got to his father changed the terms. The mother, enslaved, she was a laundress. She's literally the first pirate that Jacquotte knows, because she stole a boat and sailed away from Saint-Domingue. So they're models and parallels, because I'm giving you the training. How, once again, to me, I have to answer, how does this person who's a chef, who's supposed to follow this sort of path, do a complete not 360, because you'd be back in the first place, but 180 from that trajectory. Let me go back to Lazow. Lazow, I needed somebody, everybody kind of wants Jacquotte to follow them. Lazow listens to Jacquotte. Lazow is a dream igniter. Mm-hmm. Lazow is going to sit here, we all needed a Lazow in our life, somebody who believes in your dreams so much that they will make it happen or help you make it happen. That's Lazow. Lazow has a complicated story. Lazow has their own challenges because of the complications of their story. But at the end of the day, they're making dreams happen for everyone that they encounter and meet. And to me, that was important to have somebody like that, because I think we all need somebody on our teams to no matter what shape, form, because sometimes we turn away from help because it doesn't look like the way we want it to look. Mm-hmm. And instead of just examining hearts and souls. And so Lazow was a very important character, because that's the embodiment of that. Mm-hmm. I'm going to help you manifest your dreams.
So you said you don't spend this much time on a book usually.
No.
Why this book? Why now?
This book, it was, how do you tell the story? When I originally wrote the book, I thought it needed a dual timeline. And I was going to give you a present day. So like, I'd just seen this wonderful documentary on black divers off of Key West, and they were going down to the Henrietta Marie, and they're finding all these things. I was like, that's so cool, right? But I said it in the 90s because I wanted to go back in time a little bit, because the monument that there's a big, and this is true, there's a big stone monument set on the Henrietta Marie, and it's got a quote about basically looking towards Africa and the ones that have gone, or something. It's extremely moving. I wanted to capture that moment. But to capture that moment, I meant the end of the book, when we go back to them, has to be 1992, right? Because that's when the monument was set. Well, that meant that present day line would be all in the 1990s. So I was like, okay, we can have earrings, we can have all this. I was just having a great time. But it was actually my fear of the 1600s. It's so different from the political structures, mm-hmm. from the way that people are, and all those things. I was actually a little frightened of this book. And my editor was like, how attached are you to that 90s storyline? I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, I'm reading it and it's good, but I'm skipping it to get back to 1600s. Mm. Any writers in the house, you do not want that. I don't care how much you are in love with your words. If people want to skip to get to the real mm-hmm. action, that's the heart of the book. Mm-hmm. So I cut 75,000 words out of that book. Wow. I was left with 55,000 words and had to rebuild and rewrite that book. Wow. But with the mindset of like, let's take the fear off. Let's just write what we write and take the fear off and let the story stand for itself. If this is your first time reading one of my books, it may take you a second to get adjusted, because I am a purist. I'm going to try and use as much period-focused language. I'm going to try and give you the norms. I'm going to try and explain it so it seems, but make it natural within the flow. But you, by the time you get out of maybe chapter 2, you're on that boat.
Yeah.
You are a crew member
Yeah.
on that boat, and you are looking for the next boat you about to hit. Because that's the way I want you to feel. I want you to feel that power and that excitement, right? But to do all of that, and then this book, when you read it, it had a lot of sensitivity reads. Lot of sensitivity reads. And, you know, that's nothing to fear. There are identities in this book that I don't live, right? Faith structures that I don't live. I have to make sure if I am bringing these people back, I am bringing their voices back, their beliefs, the way they walked on this earth. Because it's not fair to slap a book up and it's all Vanessa Riley's idea of what happened and all Vanessa's, you know, y'all will get bored of that real quick. You have to do honor to the ancestors. You have to take the seeds that you've been given, and I believe people are given stories. And so for me, it was a challenge moment. How do I do this? How am I going to write this story that people will understand it and they'll get it? Because there's so many points in the story, I was like, maybe they're not going to get it. They're not going to understand. I'm like, no, let's trust the reader and let's trust the craft that you have put into these pages, as well as the very strong editing and sensitivity readings to make sure I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want people with their own preconceived notions come into this book and then, you know, get upset or whatnot. I want to do honor to the ancestors. And these are our ancestors. We were all pirates. That's the beautiful thing of this story. We were all pirates. I don't care who you are, what race, religion, status. We were all pirates. We all have a share of this very dynamic history. So that is my motivation. And yeah, 2 years, whoo, Lord Jesus. 2 years is a lot, but I think the proof's in the pudding.
I agree. I can definitely say that your integrity and your respect for the characters, it was very apparent when reading this book. And I actually did the physical and the audio. So I recommend that for a truly immersive read because it really, like she said, you're on that ship. You're on these beaches, you're in these warehouses, you're on the dock. It just makes the experience 100 times better.
And Robin Miles is the audio narrator.
She's good. She's good.
I got to Zoom with Robin. She is so amazing. But she learned very quickly that she's really Southern. She might have Trinidadian roots, but she's really Southern. Because she was like, well, how do you pronounce this? How do you think you pronounce it? And her process is amazing. She's calling scholars at different universities. She is getting the Library of Congress has different recordings of not necessarily for this book, but for different books. She'll get that to listen to it. So not promising that she sings in this book, but she might. But she's gotten the recordings and things like that. I mean, the performers, I've been very blessed. Adjoa Andoh does a number of them. And you think you do a lot of work to write the book? No. They do a lot of work to make each character different and the memories they bring and the strength. It is a beautiful process.
It is. So the one word that stuck out to me when I was reading this was resilience. So if you had to choose, I'll give you 3. If you had to choose 3 words to describe this book, and you can't choose fire, sword, and sea, what would you choose?
First one is, I'm going to give you an odd one, muscular.
Okay.
Muscular. Because when you have the battle scenes, the dynamics, not to give nerds a thing, but somebody might have actually plotted out, well, if the boat is X distance from the canoe and is Y distance high, and the average man in this particular time frame is Z, what actually can you see for?
Yeah, I know she's an engineer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, by trade.
Yeah. And then how far the cannons fire and will actually hit the boats and what can't hit the boats. So I'm like, muscular, let's put it there. Okay. Muscular, math nerdy, all that kind of things. But once again, my goal is for you to feel like you are there. So you have that fears and whatnot. Resilient, you already took that one. I think grace. You know, at different points in time, each of the characters have to grow in grace as they walk, as they learn something new. And let's see. The root is calling it saga, page turning. That's a hard one because there's so many words. And I can't use fire sword. Okay. Ooh, epic. Epic. The love stories are epic. The sisterhoods are epic. The adventure is epic. Everything is over the scale, but not over the scale. But it's the central theme was at any moment all could be gone. How would you live if at any moment everything that you love, everything that you think you have in your possession could be gone? And so that made all the actions grander, the deepening of those characters and things like that. So epic would be my third word.
Agreed, okay. So speaking of epic and cinematic, if you had to cast,
oh gosh.
because I could definitely see this on the big screen for
Yes,
sure.
Yes. Tiana Taylor got to be up in here.
Who would you cast as your main characters?
Okay, I don't know. Somebody said Journey.
Journey Smollett?
Yeah, Smollett.
Okay.
Journey.
Oh, I can see that.
See, but the pirates can span. Cause see, I still want Angela. I want her in there, right? You gotta have Viola somewhere up in that mug, right? And there's so many different parts. Anne Hathaway could be Andover. Just got to put a little bit more makeup on her. Make her a little more youthful. Idris could be definitely Lawrence DeGraff.
Ooh, we like.
Rock some locks, he'd be all right,
Yeah.
right? Michelle Basque would be a good one. Who do you think for Michelle?
I don't know his name, but do you watch Interview with a Vampire?
Which version?
The newer. Lestat. I don't know what his name is. But
Yes,
I can see that.
Yes. But throw Jacob in too somewhere.
Yeah, we gotta have him.
He's really cool. I don't know Lazao. That would be a good one. You have any ideas for Lazao?
Ooh, that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
They gotta be pretty though. Pretty enough that you go like, okay.
Love that. No, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So, what's one thing you hope readers take from this book?
I think, especially during this time where people are nervous about how do you resist, how do you move forward, I want you, to find joy in no matter what happens, because there are moments, I specifically put in moments so that you could see joy. I specifically put in moments so that you can relish in love. I specifically put in moments that you took action. Even when it didn't look like you were going to win, you took action. And then I gave y'all some moments to just be mad.
Yeah, very.
Just be mad. And, you might burn down some things when you're mad. I'm just going to say that. Sometimes you will burn down some stuff. Churches, I don't know, but you might burn down some things. You're allowed to be mad. Women, we're supposed to be those two roles and be the perfect housewife and be perfect in our emotions and not talk too loudly and not to be too boisterous in our opinions. The purely Stepford White-ish kind of things. And this says you can yell. This says you can be angry. You can pick up a sword and fight for the things that you want. So those are the messages I want you to take from this book.
I love that. Okay, and I know you just put this out, or it's coming out.
Coming out.
Coming out on
you are here
we're
in advance.
Early, yeah.
Tuesday. Tuesday is release day.
Yes, but what's next for you after this? I know you put out
Okay.
a book a year.
Sometimes 2 or 3. So in June, you will be getting the 3rd book in we had a Gamble at Sunset, you had a Wager at Midnight, now you got a Deal at Dawn.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, the hero, our Duke, has sickle cell anemia. I left you at the end of Wager, he's in a crisis, but he took his daughter back, legally. Yeah, if you ain't read Wager, you done missed out on something. Yeah, he got a secret kid. And since he a Duke, he can make that happen. So he now has custody. And so now you start the new book with what's going to happen. Yeah. So it's the capping of that one. And I'm currently working, if you're a murder mystery fan, the Lady Worthing series, I'm working on book number 4. I am 7,000 words away from done. It's Murder in St. James's Park. So those are 2 for relatively better within the zone.
Nice.
You know me, I'm always thinking, writing, researching all the time.
Nice. Okay, I think we're going to open it up for questions. But before we do that, I actually have something for you. I had these made. They match the ones I'm wearing, actually. They're from a small business called Crafty Little Day. She makes earrings and jewelry with books on them. And so I had you something made with Fire, Sword, and Sea.
I love it.
And then we're going to open it up. I think we're just going to project questions. Valencia?
It's a choose middle. So I know you did a lot of research for this book, and it basically took you a lot of different places. Was there any moment in the research process that, like, you really relished that you wish you could like revisit, or is there anything that you really enjoyed learning that didn't make it into the book?
Ooh, too seriously, big question.
I'm so very sorry, but you hurt my heart when you said what you said. So
I understand. To make this a nice, tight, framed book, the adventure in when they go to the Mughal Empire, that got cut.
Oh.
Yeah, that got cut. Yes, it's a lot. To do justice to that is a lot. So that part of the adventure, and so learning more about that culture and learning about the different straits and bodies and how you would get a ship. Here, side note, when you take a ship, you have to go around the Horn of Africa. Then you have to stop for a couple of months and scrape all the barnacles off the bottom of that boat. Otherwise, the barnacles will eat holes in the boat and you will sink. So it's a long adventure to get there. And you have to do the same thing coming back. So it's a long adventure, and it's like playing with what you keep and so it's like that got on the floor. But if there's a television series out there, I'm sure we could put it back in.
Great question.
Very good question. I forgot the first part of the question because you said
I know I did too. Oh, I was saying that was very part of like the research learning that you wish you could like go back and relearn or relive the first time.
I loved being on the boat, on the top of the boat.
That part.
Okay? Top of the boat, that feeling, I did the rigging and just with the sails. You have to have strength. You think it's like a window shade. No. You gotta have strength to pull that. So one of the reasons, spoiler, she's working in a warehouse lifting sacks of grain to build that upper body strength because she's gonna need it when you do that rigging. And that was really informed. But being on the top of the boat, everybody, y'all got to get on a boat just to hear the water and the waves, the way that the horizon looks, so different than when you're on land. So it is a great thing. But stay on the top.
I have a question. So if this book was a song, what would it be?
That's a hard one. There's a lot of songs. I've been obsessed with Ray's song recently. Where my husband at? Because there's a moment in here where she's literally asking where my husband at. It's got to be something with a lot of a body to it, with like a good refrain that's just mellow. So I'm not sure what that is. That may need to be invented. But I think at the time I did create a playlist. There's a book club guide. So if anybody has book clubs out here, you go to my website. There's a 35-page guide. It's got food. It has party ideas.
Wow.
There's so much to talk about in this book, from just the story to women's leadership to how to combat resistance. There's so many different. I want y'all talking around the country about this book. So I'm gonna make y'all party when y'all do this. But yeah, that's a hard one.
You know, when you said like the different melodies or whatever, I don't know, in my mind, I thought about Kendrick Lamar's song, was it Euphoria? The first diss track he had? Because, you know, if you listen to it starts out so like mellow and then it I was listening to some Kendrick during editing periods.
Got to.
Don't be shy, we can ask it.
Not a question, it's a comment. I read all the rites of passage out Mr. Wright listened to this last week. Yeah, did yourself. So one was the poetry.
Thank you.
With the book titles was cause.
Thank you. So my babe over here, this is my plant. No. We go way back. Robin comes to so many of my events, and I thank you for that. I have a podcast called Rite of Passage. So somewhere around November 5th, I was feeling very angry in 2024 and disillusioned, and I'm in the middle of writing these books and whatnot. I needed an outlet. So I started a Substack because I was like, everybody's talking about Substack, so I started Substack. And one time I was in a hurry, so I videoed something, and people started downloading the video. And I was like, wait a minute, y'all are real out here. Y'all are doing stuff. So then I said, you know what? I'm going to write every week. I'm going to write an essay just to get this stuff out of me. And you will get my commentary on different things that are happening. And last week, somebody put on Threads, I don't know how many are on Threads, but somebody put on Threads that reading was elitism, right? And that just, you know when something just grabbed you and like, it woke up the poet in me. And I created this poem where I went through and talked about all the books that have meant so much to me, but it put it in the context of, guys, wake up. If they take the books from us, if they take reading, that's where our imagination is gonna go away. We are going to be chattel again. So you read to wake up and to wake up your spirit. And so thank you so much. But yeah, so I've got a little poem on there. My little poet, didn't even know it.
Books are very important to me too that you.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, there's a seminal body of work that everybody needs to read. I don't care who you are, you need to read them. You don't have to agree with them, but you need to read them so just that you know it and it's in your lexicon. And that can help you adjust and think about things as we're coming to it. And so that, you have my list there. And I do it once again, every Tuesday you get a brand new one. I'm gonna have to record that one for next week because I'm gonna be on the road. And so I don't know what I'm gonna talk about yet. Maybe about y'all. But thank you.
Jasmine, you did such an amazing job. Thank you. And I want to remind you again, Johns Creek Books is back there. You can purchase a book and sign. You can get your book signed here. The line will go this way for the signing, okay? Not this way and this way for the signing. And yes, we really appreciate you coming. I want to give you one more little tidbit of information. The library is doing a quiz bowl for Black History Month next month. So if you have children or know some kids from age 12 to senior in high school, they can sign up to be on a team. You could be a team of one. There may be a cash prize. If you want some more information, you can get some more on the table out front. But thank you again for coming.